All right, no opening, no nothing. We're going to go right into it. Another network marketing warfare podcast. Dominick Izzo. I am the bull of MLM. I have another guest with me today. This is right out of the gate. This is nothing. No like real context to a conversation. Thressa Stehr and I had a really brief conversation yesterday. We air quotes met, if you will, online. I went to go, she started following me, so I looked at her content. I'm like, I like this. This has got the strong will energy that I want for a podcast interview. So I sent a message. You gladly accepted. I think we had like a 3-minute conversation, and then here we are. So, man, number one, thank you for taking the time out to join. For those who are new to this is a podcast all in the network marketing industry, business, entrepreneur industry, but mostly MLM, because everybody has a fucking hard time in this business. They get in it, they think they're going to be a millionaire in their first 6 months, and then that's what they base their success on. I mean, God forbid you pull in an extra $300-$400 a month and pay for your groceries or car payment. If that's not success, according to a lot of people. But we really need to change the industry, get it away from the shysters, the scumbags, and the manipulation tactics, and really put some legitimacy on it for what it is. So, because I'm getting to know you in this conversation, not knowing anything about you, Thressa, number one, thanks for joining. And number two, tell everybody who you are. Give us the big 360-degree view of who you are.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. So nice to meet you in person. And thanks for having me on today. But guys, I come to you from Dallas, Texas. I'm born and raised, which I'm one of the very few that probably was born and raised, still living in Dallas. Growing up, ran away from home super early and knew that I needed to make something of myself. So I was introduced to the car business, which is where I fell in love with just people, learning people skills. And fast forward a little bit on that. Let's see. 2008 hit, recession, and that's when I was introduced to this incredible profession that I call it. It is a profession. It's real, it's legit, but it takes work. And I had no idea at the time that I was going to be laid off from a 6-figure income overnight and need to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up. So instead of driving myself back into the car business, I decided to give it a shot and literally put my head down. I always say I just dove in head first. I wrote a book recently, a couple of years ago, and that's the part of the chapter of my book is diving in head first and just going after it. And here I am 16 years later, still in this profession, still diving in head first, haven't stopped, and loving every minute of it.
So I got some questions, because so in the car industry, did you go into this like car sales? Is that what you were doing?
I did. I actually didn't personally sell the cars. I sold all the aftermarket for the cars. So you came in, you bought a car, and I was the girl that upsold you on everything to add to your vehicle.
Okay. Can my questions be as direct as shit for you? Is that fine?
Absolutely.
Because I really want, I really want to get into this, because the car sales industry, especially do you remember the movie Used Cars with Kurt Russell? Back when we were kids back then. You're a little bit younger than I am.
I don't think I ever saw that.
It was a movie from the late 70s, early 80s that highlighted the shyster aspect of the car industry. CarMax came around in the 90s to kind of quell people's fear of being screwed over in the car industry. Any sales industry is fueled with competition, machismo, sex, drugs. It's a hard industry. Did you get lessons? Did you learn life lessons in that industry by dealing with a bunch of, how shall I say this, somewhat interesting men that kind of hardened you up for sales? Because the reason I ask is, a lot of people who get involved with network marketing, they think they're getting into this fucking flowery business of where it's just going to be, you just share, and you're going to be a millionaire. But clearly, anybody who has had legitimate time in sales knows that is not the truth. Did that benefit you at all, having that background?
Absolutely. It's where I had my mentorship first ever in my life, I feel like, was with the men that I was able to work with. But with that came a lot of sexual harassment. 100% honest on that. And I just had to learn how to dodge it or deal with it head on. There were times I can remember when a guy would tell me something or say something to me, and I would directly attack it, and I lost business over it. And so I just had to learn how to navigate through that. It did come to a point to where I was totally tired of walking through a service department and every single guy in there would whistle and make their little catty comments and things like that. Although I think as women, we enjoy some of the attention, but not when it's directly negative. So I learned so many life skills, so many personal development growth hacks, I feel like, through that process. And the mentorship I'll never take away from what I gained from that, and the street smart.
Yeah, most of the people, one of the big criticisms I had when I first got involved in network marketing years ago was, I come from a masculine background, the nightclub industry, that I was a cop. So there is a lot of just the machismo and the competition. And I didn't like, when I first got involved with the industry, the events that we went to, they were like kumbaya-ish and let's all hug each other. And I'm like, this is not what sales is. I would never think to go to a roll call or a sales meeting or anything and have like the CEO of the company or a sergeant go, hey, let's hug it out today before we wind up going over the numbers. It was very demanding. Right. So I was very uncomfortable with that. And I've kind of learned to navigate it now where it's like, all right, that's not my speed, but I'll let people do that. Do we need more of that? Now I'll rephrase this. Is that softness, is it attributing to the high failure rate that network marketing has? Because we know it's an upper 90% of failure rate, and the failure rate comes from quitting. People they're just not used to having to do a lot of work. It's sales. It's trying to influence somebody to wind up purchasing your product or your business, which means you have to lead. But is that soft approach, is that hurting the industry? And do we kind of need more people like you who have had that experience on how to navigate choppy waters?
I call it the rah-rah crowd. I came from that when I first got into this industry. It was very all about the huggy, the lovey, like I said, the rah-rah crowd. And I come from meat and potatoes. How do you work this business, and give me the direct direction of what to do to get there. And what I find is that because we live in such a instant gratification society, that everybody wants that pat me on the back, tell me I'm doing a good job. If I don't show up today, I'm fine tomorrow. And I didn't come from that world. Like, if I was sick, I still had to show up to work. I didn't get a pass if I walked into a sales meeting 5 minutes late. I mean, there were just so many life skills that I learned that we do not teach today, that so many people feel entitled to. And I just wish, honestly, that I could find 100 hungry people like myself to go out and make shit happen, because so many people just want it given to them. And we are creating a really big problem right now with that.
Yeah, it's soft, and I don't know if you pay attention to, and if you don't, then continue not to. The anti-MLM community on like social media is huge.
Oh, I don't.
Don't do it. They will eat you up and spit you out because you've got strong personality, and they don't like that. It is the epitome of an old hag club, misery loves company, and it's all about, oh, he's bullying them, or you're lying to them, and you're just manipulating. It's whiners. The problem is, and especially if you saw the last 2.5 years of growth in the industry, we saw the lockdown shut people out of business. So now it was like shooting fish in a barrel. Come do this business with me. You're going to make $1 million in your first 6 months. Oh, you got a dream. And I'm sure you want to put food on the table for your kids. And so many people manipulated that pain point. They got people in. I am a big fan of trying to teach the exact same way that I was raised in either competitive sports or in law enforcement, which was, if I said do something, fucking do it. Okay, right. Boss said do it, coach said do it, got to do it. And there was no question because they clearly knew the path. You can't teach that way nowadays, but if you're looking for 100 people, you're going to have to pressure test about 10,000. It's no longer 1,000, it's 10,000 people to get that. Do you think there's value in having the harder approach, the old school approach, the seasoned approach that you have? Or do you kind of still pepper in the whole rah-rah, lovey-huggy bullshit to kind of just keep people going with your business?
No, I mean, I realize that there is a time and place, and you do have to analyze who you're speaking with because of, personality types. If you can fit into every personality type when you're having a conversation, there is more value to that as well. But I don't look for the people that are not willing to go out and make something work. They want their hand held every second of the day. I'm like, just all you have to do is go and look for it. It's called search, Google. Just look it up. Like, I don't need to give you the answer every single time. And it is harder today to find those people because there is so many people that want the easy road. But maybe that's why it takes me a little longer to do what I'm doing, because I'm not looking for the ones that want it easy.
How do you deal with that pressure? Because this business is simply you do the same thing all the time. We only do 4 things. We contact people, invite them to see a plan, follow up with them, and then schedule a call with them, right? It's the same thing, but we do it over and over again. You just nailed something. The other day I put up, I was going to do a teaching on something, and I put up the time, the date, the platform, and somebody's still in the comment section, hey, how do I find this? And I was like, and it's a friend of mine joke about this all the time, where you can legitimately spell things out for people. Hey, do you have a link you can send that to me for? It's like, are you kidding me?
Gosh.
So for me, yeah, it's a matter of being that blunt and bold and saying, I can't believe how fucking stupid people are. How do you navigate this irresponsible day and age where this is who you have to choose from now? Are you pressuring harder to find those diamonds? Or are there the times in this business where you're like, I got the lulls. Yeah, I've been doing this for 16 years, but I hate this. I need to get out of it. How do you keep yourself focused to continue your business growing?
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm human, and I definitely have had my moments where I'm like, you know what, I'm done with the industry. I'm going to figure out something else to do in my life. And then honestly, when I sit and really focus in on why I do what I do, because I absolutely love people and transforming their lives, and I know what this industry can do for people, I say there's nothing else out there that gives you what this profession allows, for the freedom of every single thing, whether it's location in your life, whether it's the financial freedom, whether it's just being able to, navigate being I'm a work from home mom, a stay at home mom, but my husband travels all week long. And so there's not another career out there that I personally have found that gives back what we have here. And so it has been a little bit more difficult recently with conversations, because I'm not afraid. It's not that I'm not trying to like hurt people's feelings, because that's not what I'm after, is to hurt their feelings. But I am 100% direct with them on what I'm looking for. And if it doesn't fit for them, or if we don't jive and we don't vibe to work together, then it's not going to work on either platform, right? And if I ask them to do something over and over and over again, I know that it's going to continue to be that way. So if I have to beg somebody to join me, I've got to beg them to go work. And that's not what I'm looking for.
Is that just a philosophy that you have, where you can't, every teaching that I've ever been a part of, it's always towards the weakest link, right? The lowest common denominator, which I never have seen that in like professional sports or any elite level, anything. If you have a team member who's the weakest link and you're teaching them, you're hurting the skills of everybody else. You got to cut that person. Do you feel that in order to give to your entire team, like if you are constantly catering to that weakest link, yeah, it might be emotional, it might be sad, but you have to cut it because the rest of your team is not benefiting from you? Is that ever a consideration?
Well, I am a mindset coach, and I deal with a lot of just trying to help people's confidence levels grow. And I find that sometimes you can pick the diamond in the rough and figure out who that person is, as long as they're willing. They have to be willing to do the hard work. It's not easy, it's hard, but it's worth it, and it's simple. So I find that, if they're still plugging in and they're still showing up and they're still asking questions, even though I can tell that they're not like a high level recruiter or a high level, go out and find customers, but they're hungry, like I'm willing to give them even more of my time.
All right, let's talk about that for a second on the coaching aspect. I am not compassionate with that. I grew up in a household where, it wasn't very affectionate, and it wasn't, it was success oriented. So there was no softness. So when it comes down to anytime I hear a room full of 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds that have to be told, I believe in you until you believe in yourself, and you got to work on your confidence. I have a very, it does not translate to me. I'm not unempathetic towards it. I literally don't understand it. Talk about that. How is it that a person could be in their 40s and 50s and no confidence? Can that be switched? Or is that, come on, that's classical conditioning. If you hadn't received your confidence by the time you were 8 years old, you're never going to have it. That's what a lot of psychological studies say. So where is your passion for helping that? And then what are some key components in making that really work?
Well, so I completely disagree on that level, because I really truly believe we have neural pathways in our body or in our minds that can be reprogrammed. And just like you saying that, you've never really had that growing up, you have a confidence about you that just is different than what other people may assume is confident. You're very high level of confidence, and you come off differently to people than somebody that might be the lovey-dovey, feely person. But without having confidence on some level, you truly never take yourself to the next level. And it may look a little different for some people, but you can totally transform the way you think by just what you tell yourself. Our subconscious is 95% of the way that we think every day. And so what you continue to tell yourself with that 5% can be reprogrammed through your subconscious. And so it definitely takes a little bit longer sometimes to make that shift for people, but I'm willing to go through that process with them if they're willing to believe in themselves.
Do you see it as network marketing as being one of the, I guess I answered my own question, but I want to hear your view on it. I think if you have a skill set like that and you're going to teach it to somebody, they have to apply it to something in order for it to work, right? You can teach somebody all the theory about driver's ed, but unless they get in the car, they're not going to learn it. Everything you're talking about, man, network marketing, I think it is one of the single greatest skill sets to wind up developing, because it's always changing. It's improving you. You're dealing with dynamic people. Do you think that network marketing is just a great application for you to teach people skills and then say, no, listen, get in this business because this is going to teach you how to apply what I'm teaching you?
I think it's one of the best places for personal development and growth. It's definitely where you can work on a lot of different skills, but it's just like when you're a baby and you know that you're supposed to walk eventually, and you continue to get up and walk and you continue to fall down. That's the same thing though with anything that we do in life. To be successful at anything, you have to be willing to fall down and get back up multiple times, right? So with working on your skill set, it doesn't come natural for most people. You don't wake up one day and go, oh, I'm going to go out and be okay to talk to 100 people today, and I'm just going to nail it. You've got to continue to keep talking to people, just like doing a Facebook Live or, creating a TikTok or whatever it is that your platform is that you utilize. If you don't continue to do it, then it's never going to work. I was talking to one of my teammates yesterday, and I just said, it's okay to fail forward. It's okay if you mess up, but don't not do it because you're afraid of what the outcome's going to be. It's okay. Nobody else on the other end knows that you failed what you just were supposed to be doing, because they're not in the same profession as you. They're not even paying attention. So it's okay.
Why do you think that's that's clearly the answer, right? It's, you do a live and then you think it was so horrible. So you judge yourself so bad, so you never do it again, which clearly you need to do about 1,000 of them before you become an expert on it. Why do you think that is such a hindrance with this misperception of reality? And it's like mass. It's like a mass convinced theory between all of us. We think that you're going to watch me do something and you judge me, so I'm going to fail. Why do we still believe this when everybody says it's not the truth?
Well, I think because honestly, people have been told for so long that one of the number one fears in life is public speaking, getting on stage and talking to somebody. And so now you're behind a camera, but you're still having to talk to somebody. And now you're critiquing yourself. What do I sound like? What do I look like? What is somebody thinking? Who cares what somebody thinks, right? Why do we allow that to happen? I have No idea. I think, just for myself, I still, when I get up on stage, I still have the like nervous, jitters and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's what value do you have to serve your audience? And guess what? Not everybody is going to be for you, and you're not for everybody. But that's okay. And that's why we're human and we're able to go out there and do what we do. And really, your job is to go out and change at least one life at a time. One life at a time. It's a ripple effect, and you're going to continue to see, the fruits of whatever it is that you're creating.
Let's take it back for a second. I want to talk about your aha moment. When you first started this industry, did you struggle at all? I mean, car sales and car parts, it's kind of black and white. It's transactional. I need a muffler. I need these rims. You order it. It's done. Transaction's one and done. In this industry, it's a little bit different, right? The anti-MLM community loves to rag on the fact that we don't acknowledge it's recruiting. It is. It's selling a product and selling the business, and you do that for recruiting. Was there a time when you were aggravated with it in the beginning, or was it so frustrating, or was it clear from the beginning, or was there a particular like light bulb moment went off and you're like, oh my God, this makes sense to me now?
So it was definitely different going from all men to all women whenever I started in this industry. I'll tell you, the thing that frustrated me the most was babysitting and constantly having to deal with people's emotions on a daily basis, because I didn't have to really worry about that whenever it was a transaction of just selling a part for something, right? Going into this business, it's all about relationship for me. And that was probably the hardest part, was like, why can't you get up today and just make something happen? But I didn't necessarily like want to give up on it or anything like that. I didn't struggle with the recruiting aspect of it because I believed in what I was doing. So I'm one of these people that, like, I feel like most of the time I can sell anything, and it's more of selling yourself. It's not about the product. The products are going to come and go. They're always going to come and go. You have to decide who you are as a person and what value you bring, and why would somebody want to join you. And if you can continue to create the value, that person's typically going to stick around.
All right, so let's talk about that for a second. That's the whole duplicatability argument, right? Years ago, I had somebody in my upline who was like the top of the company and said, you're not duplicatable. You do presentations in a studio, you wear a tie, clearly you can speak. And I went, great, my business is going to fall. And I give her credit for this all the time, but I'm friends with Jesse Lee Ward, and I watch, and I told this to you on the phone, I think it was, I watched this kid, this 30-something-year-old woman who, I'm like, I'm sexist and I'm ageist. There's no way that a younger woman is going to do better than me, but you can't duplicate who she is. So after a couple conversations, I'm like, it's not about us that's being duplicatable. It clearly is the business, but duplicating the us as the brand is important. Do you agree that if somebody doesn't have the social skills you do, the confidence you do, that it's still, they should highlight that part about themselves? Meaning, if they're introverted, should they highlight that and say, listen, my brand is I'm an introverted, quiet person. And, maybe it'll take them slower time to contact 100 people than it would us. But is that still brand worthy, or can only the extroverted in this business do well?
No, I think everybody has value to offer to every single person, can be relatable to someone. And so it's, what is it that you love, that you're passionate about, that you desire, that can attract somebody else? Because even if you're introvert, there's so many people out there that are superstars, in, actresses and singers, and you would hang out with them and you would be like, how in the world did they get up on stage? Right? Because they can't even hold a conversation with you. But that's just who we are as humans. Like, it's just, I guess, polarizing what you need to polarize, and really go after what it is that you enjoy and that you're passionate about. And if you love helping people, it doesn't matter what your personality is. I feel like, though, to be in this business, you do kind of have to like people. Mm-hmm. Some people will tell me I can't stand people, and I'm like, well, you're probably just not going to love doing this. It's not going to be for you. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I had that coming from law enforcement when I got back in this industry. It was very difficult for me because all I saw was the negative side of people. Everybody lies all the time. Everyone's got some hidden agenda and angle. And for me, I'm very money driven, 100% money driven. In our specific system, we teach 3 C's. There's cash flow, how you make your money; commerce, the product or business or a service that you sell; or then the culture, right? The community of people we're cultivating. I've been on a tear for the last 2.5 years, and it wasn't until the last couple of months that I'm now like, my season now is all about the community. And I'm like, this is very weird for me that now I'm liking the people in this. So I think there's seasons of growth in this. You talked about singers and actors, and I found that very interesting because what are they doing? They're performing. They're literally performing. When you teach, your people, what have you taken from your personal life that has made you see a better method of teaching the people who are like, I can't make my calls today. I can't do this. I can't. Let's just pretend for argument's sake that you got past the personality conflict, right? Somebody says, oh, hey, Thressa, I'm going to tear this up. And then 6 weeks go by, you never hear from them, right? That's 80% of the business. But you have somebody who's clearly frustrated. I'm terrified to pick up the phone. I want to do all the things you're telling me, but I'm terrified to do it. Has there ever been any personal or historical references that you've looked at and said, okay, this is what got me over this, and this is how you teach it in application?
I mean, nothing like spectacular that I can just give an answer to that. I think it's just honestly doing it one step at a time, 1 inch at a time, but actually writing it down, having something in front of you that's applicable that says, okay, this is my step 1. And even if you've got to write out exactly what you want to say so that you can practice it over and over and over again. And then dialogue with the person that I'm working with. I always ask them when they tell me, nobody's answering my calls or nobody's answering my messages. And I just, this isn't working for me. Well, what's not working? Let's talk about it. What are you saying? Tell me exactly word for word what it is that you're putting out there, because maybe it's just something little that needs to be tweaked just so that person receives it differently. Because the way that you may be receiving it is going to be completely different than maybe the way that I would receive it. And so sometimes it's just making those little tweaks, but I can't make the calls for you. I can't do it for you. I can only apply and help you and guide you along the way, right?
Couple different questions. I want to ask one more question, that I want to get into problem solving. Talk about, over the last 16 years, how you've kept yourself passionate in this industry. I know we all have ebbs and flows, but what are some of because I'm sure after a while it's like, I'm going to win the car, I'm going to win the vacation, I'm going to get the bonus and the rank. Talk about what has been the rewarding milestones, or are there reinventions of the rewarding milestones that have made you keep the passion for this industry?
So for me, I absolutely, if anyone knows me, my love language, one of them is travel. And so anytime that there was ever a trip that I could possibly earn, that was going to be my drive. Now, I love earning money and making money, but for me, it was just about the community of people that you could be on these trips with, and not having to pay to go on these trips and all of those things. I earned 5 different cars whenever I had my career for the first 10 years. And it really was just like a billboard on wheels, but there was never anything that was like super exciting for me on that, because at the end of the day, I didn't own the car. I just earned the car. And so I want to be able to have the freedom to work my business from anywhere at any time from my fingertips. And so culture and community and leadership are what drive me in this business, because it's all about the people. And I work to be able to go and be around the people. Every event, I don't miss events. I show up to every single thing. It doesn't matter if I've heard the material 8,000 times, I'm going to be at the events, because if I'm not showing up, my people aren't showing up. But that's where I thrive, is around people and energy.
And is that where like your skill sets just constantly improve, is the consistent exposure to the energy, the people, the material? Does that you just keep learning and keep building off of that?
I take a lot of notes over and over and over again. And then I'm constantly plugging in to people online, to podcasts, any type of motivational mindset things that I can listen to. That's what I'm listening to all the time. I don't read fake books and all the things like that. Like, I read things that are legitimate things that I can apply to what I'm currently doing in my life.
So it sounds like you take this business pretty seriously. It sounds, I mean, if you're taking notes and you're going to events and you're saturating yourself total immersion into the industry, it sounds like this is a serious business to you. So I'll do one more question before we go until we get into a problem solution. The podcasts, the books, this and that, there's a condition we call what's paralysis analysis. Mm-hmm. How do you prevent that? Because so many people, they're going to want to know what book you're reading, what podcast you're reading, but you clearly put it into action. What is the step to get people out of that paralysis stage of, oh, I just listened to Tony Robbins, I just listened to David Goggins, I got to listen to another one. How do you get people to act instead of staying paralyzed?
Well, I usually ask them to take away 3 nuggets from something that they just heard or something that they just learned. So when you go to an event, you're going to have overload, right? You're going to hear so many things. You're going to be there for, hours on hours. And you've got to go back through what it is that you took down. When people don't take notes, I tell them they're not going to go out and apply anything that they just learned because they have so much information. So I tell them, take away 3 key nuggets that you can go back and apply in your business this week, this month, this year. And every single time you listen to something, you've got to be willing to take away the key nuggets that are something that is applicable for what you're doing. Otherwise, you can just continue to hear and hear and hear, and you just continue to live the same life over and over again. And you're just spinning your wheels.
Thressa, before we wind up getting into problem solution, talk about where can people follow you? How can they wind up connecting with you if they like your methodology, your concepts, coaching for personal development, being part of your team? How can they connect with you?
So I do have several platforms, but my name is Hustle and Hills on Instagram. And so you can go follow me there. If you know me, I always wear heels and it doesn't matter what I'm doing, except for at the gym. So Hustle and Hills on Instagram, Thressa Stehr on Facebook and TikTok. And that's it. So I have a website, but I'm rebranding that right now. So.
All right, let's talk about some industry problems. In your opinion, let's dive into the negative side for a bit. The industry is, I got pitched at 18 years old. I used to work at Blockbuster Video at 18, and somebody thought I would make a great Amway person, and they made it sound so good. And I'm like, I told my parents, I think I want to do this. Like, no. And, I didn't get involved with, until much later in life. Talk about what you think are some of the things that need to be changed in the industry that give it the horrible reputation that we have right now.
Well, there's multiple things. There is what I consider the mean girl club and the people that constantly want to bash someone else because they may have moved to another company. The thing is that we live in instant gratification world, and there is shiny objects on every corner. And there's always something new popping up. And so really at the end of the day, it's finding your home, finding what you're passionate about, finding what drives you, and then stop looking at everything else around you and stop being mean on social media about what somebody else is or isn't doing in the industry. Because at the end of the day, you've got to pay your bills, you've got to take care of your family, and you've got to own what it is that you want to do. And what we're doing is we're criticizing and we are just bashing the person that we just considered maybe our best friend in the profession. And now all of a sudden we don't talk to them anymore because they decided that this wasn't for them anymore for whatever reason. And so I think it's just stop being mean. Like, we're humans, and treat people as humans.
I can't believe so when I left law enforcement, which was the biggest crab in the bucket field ever, right? It's anytime you want to succeed.
We appreciate your service.
Oh, thank God. I appreciate that. I'm done. But I couldn't believe anytime you want to develop yourself, you get your brethren in blue talking shit about you like crazy. I thought that was limited there. I actually got into radio, and I was down in your area. It was the Country Network. But in Fort Worth. It was a big building. So I was down there. I was part of a radio station for a little bit. And when I went down there, I was told that, in radio, oh yeah, all the other hosts, they're going to shit on you. I'm like, no, they don't have that problem in there. They have that problem in there. In network marketing, when I really got serious, I couldn't believe that everybody claims I want you to do better than me. I want you to pass me up. But the more that I started to build, the more that my last uplines would shun me and turn their back on me. And I'm like, let me explain something to you. I don't care about being up on stage with the microphone telling my story, because I could do that anytime I want on social media. I don't need the accolades of a crowd, right? I used to do things in squad cars and on scenes that got my blood pumping. I don't need this. But it blew me away that in this industry of so many people who claim they want people to be better than them because that makes them more money, they're more this, we have this guru worship mentality. You said it, the steak and potatoes, and I've said this on several podcasts. One of the last uplines I dealt with came from underneath Dexter Yeager, the man himself. And I teach sales tactics, warm market, cold market, tonality in your presentation, the difference between, your how do you talk to your friends and family and don't lie to them, don't even try to sell them, versus coming across as a perceived expert with your cold market. Dominick, you're trying to give people this to eat steak and potatoes, and you really need to keep them on a bottle for a while. And when I heard that, I went, well, now I get it. No matter how much everybody talks about they want their team to surpass it, you're killing yourself financially because you still want the microphone at the end of the day.
Right.
When people get involved, if they're going to look at network marketing, how do they properly discern, or what would you tell somebody? Listen, if you're not going to go with me, fine, but these are things I think you need to ask a potential upline to make sure that you found the right fit for you.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's their values. I think it's what they believe in. I think it is, finding out, are they somebody that's hands-on? Are they going to answer your phone call? Are they willing to get in the trenches with you? Do they get on phone calls? Do they do Zoom meetings? Are they showing up to events? Really at the end of the day, it's just, if you vibe with that person and you feel like there is an alignment. If I don't align with somebody and our belief systems are completely different, and I can just tell that, I actually had a girl one time tell me that she really didn't think she needed to get on the phone with me because we could do everything through Messenger. And why would I join somebody that doesn't even want to have a phone call with me, right? At the end of the day. So it really is truly finding out, first of all, what's important to you, because if getting on a phone call is not important to you, well, then maybe that's the person for you. But really, if you want to grow your business and you want to scale and you want to be able to bring people along with you, you've got to be duplicatable, but you've also got to have your leadership that's willing to be there with you and guide you and take you along with them. And if they're not doing it, then you're going to be struggling for a while.
Do you endorse setting boundaries off the bat? Meaning, if you get a person who's in day one and 2 months goes by, they finally got their first prospect, and it's a recruit. This person's going to do the business, but they're listening to everything you say. They're going off your level and your standards. But this person says, I want to do this all via Messenger. But you've instilled on your people the value of having conversations with others and talking to others. Do you endorse that person say, no, you better determine what your boundaries are now from day one, or you know what, let's just get this person in and we'll work on them as they go? How is that important that they establish boundaries from the beginning?
I don't think I actually just set that from the get-go and just make it black or white. It has to be one way or the other. But I do find that the people that follow the lead and that are willing to take the extra steps are the ones that are going to work and mesh well with me more, versus somebody who just kind of wants to do their own thing. I'm just going to let them do their own thing if that's what they want to do. And I'm going to be here to answer questions when they need me. But as far as I remember at one time when I was in a company, and it was, if you didn't come in with a certain amount of inventory and you didn't spend a certain amount of money, you didn't get that person to work with you closely. And for me, that's a really big deal, because not everybody is going to invest at the same level or even be willing to take that step right then and there. But again, if they're willing to put in the time, the energy, the effort, and I can see that they're doing that, they're going to have my time. They're going to have me. And so there are boundaries on that level, but I'm not going to establish whether or not you do this or that, and I'm not going to talk to you.
So talk about that for a second, because that was me for a while, which was because I got that from an upline, which the second I realized that I could pitch and close on the biggest package, I would use that. And I would say, listen, I only work with people who are serious, right? Coming in on the biggest package shows that you're serious. You know, it's like if you purchase a McDonald's franchise and you know you're going to get your return on investment guaranteed, and you're only going to, no, I'm not going to spend more than $200. You don't have the right mindset for this. If you say you're going to spend $2 million, it's a different story. And I probably lost out on a lot of good people that I would not have had to, you know, that would have a business. But when do you know? When do you know that, all right, the person who comes in on $2,000, we know that, yeah, how many people are not going to do it? And then there's the person who comes in on $200. Well, you're like, oh, I'm going to thumb my nose at you, but maybe they are going to do it. When do you learn to cut bait and go, okay, you can come in at what you can afford. I'm going to work for you, but until this point. So what is your personal measure for that, so that you take anybody, give them an opportunity, but yeah, there's going to be a threshold to where the opportunity is no longer there?
I stopped measuring it on how much they were willing to spend up front. They have to do some sort of an investment, right? But honestly, at the end of the day, I've had so many people that have come in at a $2,000 level and they sit on it and never do anything with it. And then I've had the people like you're talking about that come in at a $200 level and they want it and they go out and make it happen. So for me, what I determine is whether or not they are communicating. If they're putting the action in and they're doing the daily activity, they're Thressa, hey, this is what I've gotten accomplished today. What else can I be doing for my business to help it grow? Those are the people that I am 100% going to be all in on. I will match your effort and I'll match your energy as long as you're willing to go with it. But when you stop and you communicate with me every couple of weeks, well, that's pretty much what we're going to get. And the business is going to just continue to keep repeating itself because we're not making any leeway and we're not getting to the next level.
All right. Clearly, this business is so simple, though. It's so easy that all you have to do is do a Facebook post, Instagram post, and you're going to make us $1 million in 6 months. Can you talk about, because, okay, you're a work-at-home mom, stay-at-home mom, husband travels, and entrepreneur, business owner, upper level. Can you describe a day? What is a day like in your business, so that when people get involved in this, it's never going to be, well, all you got to do is talk to two people and you're going to make $1 million. Can you talk about still today what your day is like and how you operate and manage your day?
So things have shifted, obviously, from the last 16 years now that we have social media. And I personally do build a lot through social media, but it is relationships. And it's not just messaging people, having physical conversations through a voice text so that people can hear the excitement in your voice. They can hear, the authenticity in your voice. I was just having a conversation with a new girl yesterday, she just lost her corporate job. And she's like, what do I do all day? And I told her, because you work from home, there are thousands of things that you can be doing. Laundry is one of them, right? The kids are another. But if you don't sit and schedule out what you want it to look like, then you can be sidetracked just as quickly. And so for me, it literally is sitting down saying, okay, from 9 to 10, I'm going to be actually adding new prospects to my list. And this is how many I'm looking for. And I'm going to make sure that I'm getting through those tasks before I get sidetracked with something else. If that's not answering my phone, not answering a text message, something else outside that can prohibit that, that's what you have to do. But that's the discipline that comes with this business. And the thing is most people are so conditioned to a 9-to-5 job. They go to work, their boss tells them what to do. They tell them when they can take a break. They tell them when they can go to lunch. They tell them when they can leave, when they can have vacation. And then they get their own business and work from home, and they feel like they don't know how to function.
Mm-hmm. It's easy to get distracted. Oh, look, there's food, there's fridge. I get sit on the couch for 20 minutes, turns into 2 hours. 100%. That's I was very guilty of that because I had a boss. I had a sergeant.
I don't watch I don't sit around and watch Netflix all day. Really, at the end of the day, when my girlfriends, some of them were talking about Netflix, I'm like, I don't even know what that show is. Those are not a part of where I'm headed right now. And so honestly, I've had to limit my exposure to some of my group of friends for a while because we're just in different seasons of life. I'm in a different direction. I'm looking for something bigger. And so if you're the person right now that wants to be able to own your own business, work from home, have a successful online e-commerce business, whatever it is that you're looking for, you've got to be willing to give up to go up. There's got to be multiple things in your life right now that maybe you say no to. And that's going to be the hardest thing, is setting the boundaries on what can I say no to. And maybe it's not sitting on the couch every single night with your husband watching football or whatever that is. That time may be important that you allot, but it's not an everyday thing if you've got things that you need to get done for your business. So it just doesn't look like a 9 to 5 job.
Can you talk about how for the kids who are doing this industry who do not know how fortunate they are to use social media, can you kind of describe what it was like when you first got in the business and what we had to do?
So I did not get my first Facebook until 2009, and I started this business in 05. So honestly, I went out every single day to the mall. I would literally walk into a strip center of like doctor's offices, dentist offices. I would set out what we called fish bowls. You guys probably don't even know what that is, but it's a glass bowl that you put your contact information on and you get people to put their information in, and literally would check those every single week. I would have like 10 of them out. I would go and check those, and every single person in my fish bowl, you guys, was a winner. And that's where I got my contact information. We called it warm chattering. Everywhere you went, you talked to people. You weren't afraid to look at them. You weren't afraid to say hi. And I still, to this day, when I'm standing at the grocery store in line, make genuine conversation. People are like, well, what do you say? I love your shoes. Those are so cute. Where did you get them from? That's where you start. And then it just turns into natural conversation. At the nail salon during the day. Well, how are you at the nail salon at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon? Oh, well, let me tell you how I do this.
Yeah,
right?
You're working too. That's working.
Yeah. And so it's just being willing to get yourself out there and actually have the conversations. And we have, the last couple of years have been so shut down physically, mentally, literally, that people forgot how to be normal humans.
I see this as, because I used to hate the living room presentations, put on the VHS, put on the CD, or the DVD. I couldn't stand it. Now, thank God, I've had all these people skills over the year to where I just spoke to somebody who was trying to sell me a funnel filling service. Oh, you're going to get X amount of leads, this and that. And I went, that's great, but how many personal contacts will I have? I think it's those who are fearless in, even if they're horrible at people skills, network marketing affords you the opportunity for every person you talk to as a leveling up process of interacting with people. Those who are really willing to converse, the sale comes naturally. It comes naturally. But the more they're willing to converse with people, the more their business will not only grow, but it'll like plant and grow roots. It won't be transactional. Again, going back to this, do you think that one of the things that helps you the most is you came from brick and mortar, pounding the pavement, face to face, and then now we're in a digital world where this is kids play. This is the easiest thing on the planet.
I absolutely love it. There are things about social media, though, that drive me insane because people are so afraid, like you're talking about, to have the conversations. But honestly, at the end of the day, if we can get over that, we're not selling a product. Our product is the vehicle to have conversations, but we're selling ourselves, and we are trying to find a solution for what it is that their pain point is. So what is it that you personally have to offer? What solution do you have for the person that is dealing with whatever it is that they have an ailment for, right? And it's just naturally asking questions. Like, people are like, what do you say? I'm like, these are the questions that you need to be asking. And then through those questions, they're going to tell you everything that you need to know, because guess what? People love talking about themselves, right? People will throw up. You ask somebody how their day is, they're going to tell you everything that you need to know in a 5-minute period. And most of it is stuff that you didn't even want to know about, right? And so I tell people, like, you've just got to be real, authentic. It takes time to grow a business. It is not an overnight success. Some people come into this industry and they run with it, and they have quick success, but it's not sustainable because they don't know how to go out and duplicate that process to somebody. So you've just got to find what works for you, what your rhythm is, who you align with, and where you can plant your flag, and you can literally just go for it.
All
but
right.
you
Sorry,
cannot
go ahead.
waver.
Let's sum this up then. Give me the top before we give the top three. Tell everyone where they can wind up getting a hold of you again.
Facebook, I've got Thressa Stehr or Thressa Stehr, 2 accounts. And then on Instagram, I've got Hustle in Hills.
And then
Hustle in the letter Hills.
And then you obviously network marketing leader, but you also do personal development coaching as well too.
I do.
100% fantastic.
Mindset and confidence coaching.
Great. All right, then let's wrap this up. Give me the top 3 things you think that somebody needs to have success in this business. The top 3 attributes that if they don't have, or they need to cultivate it, or they can work with you to do it. But what are the top 3 essential things you think that somebody needs?
A good mindset with a good attitude, the willingness and the drive and the hunger, and then the no like giving up, just not willing to give up on any of their goals, their dreams, their desires, and that's it.
It works for me. I like it all. You had a lot of great stuff to say. I'm really appreciative to connect with you. This was good. I'd like to have another conversation soon. Bring you back and talk about your business. Again, Thressa Stehr. Make sure you get a hold of her on social media. If you like her delivery, man, get on her team. Get on her team and work with her. End of story. Guys, it's another edition of Network Marketing Warfare Podcast. Share it. Get it out there. The industry does have some problems, but I think that we are on a fantastic path to solve them and really put some integrity back on there. Thressa, thanks a ton, and we will see you guys on the next podcast.